Hello guys, hurry up to join the stream. Thank you so much for watching the screen, making the like and subscribing to the channel. How are you, Kinsey? Benjamin? How are you, my lovely brother? Thank you so much for joining, Benjamin. Don't spam guys. Every person have to just write your name. Kale, how are you, dear Kale? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, dear Kale. Nicholas, sorry, Nicholas. Thank you so much for joining to the screen, Nicholas. Moises, how are you, Moises? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Moises. Kin- Kenzie, how are you, dear Kenzie? Thank you so much for your joining, Kenzie. Benjamin, how are you, Benjamin? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Benjamin. Hurry up guys to write your name in the chat. Ali, hurry dear Ali. Thank you so much for your joining, dear Ali. Halle, hurry dear Halle. Thank you so much for joining to Cittery. Hurry up guys. Pantone, hurry up Pantone. Thank you so much for joining to Cittery. Hannah, how are you, dear Hannah? Thank you so much for joining to Cittery, dear Hannah. Nirvana, how are you, Nirvana? Thank you so much for joining to Cittery, dear Nirvana. Buzhedara, how are you, Buzhedara? Thank you so much for joining. Emily, how are you, dear Emily? Amalia, thank you so much for joining, Amalia. Alina, how are you? Thank you so much for the star. Thank you. Please send a laughing disco. Somebody have to send a laughing disco, guys. Alana, how are you, Alana? Raman, how are you, dear Ramin? Thank you so much for joining to Ring Ramin. Any person can send the laughing disco, guys. Thank you, girl. Aline, I write your name, Aline. Gully, how are you, dear Gully? Thank you so much for joining to Ring. To write your name in the chat, guys. Anna, how are you, dear Anna? Thank you so much for joining to screen. Sean, how are you, dear Sean? Thank you so much for joining to Ring, Sean. Omar, how are you, dear Omar? Thank you so much for joining to Ring. Dayon, how are you, Dayon? Thank you so much for joining. Amy, how are you, dear Amy? Thank you so much for your joining, Amy. Hansur, how are you, Hansur? Mariam, how are you, Mariam? Soy, how are you, Soy? Adolfo, how are you, Adolfo? Thank you so much for joining. Amna, happy birthday to Amna. Azal, how are you, dear ex? Thank you so much for joining. Fallon, how are you, Fallon? Thank you so much for joining. Terrain. Praise Kida, how are you, dear Praise Kida? Ava, how are you, dear Ava? Hi, hi, Arwa. How are you, Arwa? Arba, how are you, dear Arba? Daslin, how are you, Daslin? Flo, how are you, dear Flo? Amaria, how are you, dear Amaria? Amara. Please, guys, send the laughing disco. Arwa, how are you, dear Arwa? Zara, how are you, pretty Zara? Daslin, how are you, Daslin? Line, how are you, dear Line? Ria, how are you, dear Ria? Line, I write your name, my dear Roma. How are you, dear Roma? Anshu, how are you, dear Anshu? Asbela, how are you, dear Asbela? Garrison, how are you, dear Garrison? Christian, how are you, Christian? Kafia, how are you, Kafia? I write your name, my dear. Charlie, how are you, Charlie? Jensine, how are you, Jensine? Anish, how are you, Anish? Divyanshu, how are you, Divyanshu? Emmanuel, how are you, Emmanuel? Joy, how are you, Joy? Hmm. Lara, how are you, Lara? Alan, how are you, Alan? Ismail, how are you, dear Ismail? Rachid, how are you, Rachid? Adrian, how are you, Adrian? Riley, how are you, Riley? Naomi. Leoran, how are you, dear Leoran? Yamar, how are you, Yamar? Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Thank you, Amber. Thank you so much, dear Amber. Thank you. Thank you so much, dear Amber. Thank you. Shout out to Amber. Thank you, Amber. Thank you so much, Amber. Kyla, how are you, Kyla? Shaista, how are you, Shaista? I write your name, Joe. I write your name, my dear. Naya, how are you, Naya? Talia, how are you, Talia? Amelie, how are you, Amelie? Dusty, how are you, Dusty? Lucia, how are you, dear Lucia? Leah, how are you, Leah? Light, how are you, Light? Alfari, how are you, Alfari? Lassim, how are you, Lassim? Fatima, how are you, Fatima? Mary, how are you, Mary? Kenzie, how are you, Kenzie? Renon, how are you, Renon? Adiba, how are you, Adiba? Andre, how are you, Andre? Lucy, how are you, Lucy? Oh, Malia, thank you, Malia, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the goal, Malia. Thank you. Thank you for the goal. Thank you, sister. Thank you for the goal. Mercy, how are you, Mercy? Lamb, how are you, Lamb? Welcome there. Marley, how are you, Marley? Mallory, how are you, Mallory? Lara, how are you, Lara? Arthur, how are you, Arthur? Hmm. Hurry up, guys, to write your name in the chat. Alice, how are you, Alice? Caleb, how are you, dear Caleb? Aroha, how are you, Aroha? Julia, how are you, Julia? Aston, how are you, Aston? Lalina, how are you, Lalina? Jessica, how are you, Jessica? Aston, I write your name, my dear. Jessica, how are you, Jessica? Leucas, how are you, Leucas? Rylan, how are you, dear Rylan? Hurry up, guys, to write your name in the chat. Lily, how are you, Lily? Lincoln, how are you, Lincoln? Thank you, Lincoln. Alice, how are you, dear Alice? Lily, how are you, Lily? Kale, how are you, Kale? Taylor, how are you, Taylor? Livia, how are you, Livia? Dania, how are you, Dania? Susanna, how are you, Susanna? Ayonju, how are you, Ayonju? Gavin, how are you, Gavin? Nabila, how are you, Nabila? Yolane, how are you, Yolane? Aviha, how are you, dear Aviha? Enzo, how are you, Enzo? Oh, thank you for the goal. Thank you so much, dear. Arage, thank you so much for the goal, dear. Anybody can send the laughing disco, guys. Thank you so much, Arage. Sunny, how are you, Sunny? Erin, how are you, Erin? Hurry up, guys, to write your name in the chat. Darina, thank you, Darina, thank you so much, dear. Thank you for the star. Thank you so much, my dear. Thank you. Maddie, how are you, Maddie? Thank you so much for joining, dear Maddie. A lot of love and respect for you, Johnny. Donnie, how are you, Donnie? Thank you so much for joining, Donnie. Yeah, why not there? Thank you, Donnie. Candy, how are you there, Candy? Anjali, Anjali, how are you, Anjali? Thank you so much. Naomi, Arena, how are you, dear Arena? Hmm. Bella, how are you, dear Bella? Camellia, how are you, Camellia? Moina, how are you, Moina? Anna, how are you, dear Anna? How are you, dear Anna? Hmm. Aline, how are you, dear Aline? How are you, Aline? Where are you from watching, dear Aline? Thank you so much for joining. Thank you. Welcome, my dear. Hurry up, guys, to write your name in the chat. London, how are you, dear London? Yes, Anna. How are you, Anna? Amber, thank you so much for joining, Amber. Maria, how are you, Maria? Anybody can send the laughing disco, guys. Someone, how are you, someone? Melissa, how are you, Melissa? Hurry up, guys, to write your name in the chat, guys. Summer, Sophia, how are you, Sophia? Hannah, how are you, dear Hannah? Jack Crow, how are you, Jack Crow? Eva, how are you, dear Eva? Sally, how are you, Sally? Lisa, how are you, Lisa? Zahra, how are you, dear Zahra? Kamalia, how are you, dear Kamalia? Kamala, how are you, dear Kamala? Liusin, how are you, Liusin? Thank you so much for joining Twisted Dream, dear Liusin. Asbela, how are you, dear Asbela? How are you, dear Asbela? Mala, how are you, dear Mala? Hi, James. How are you, James? Thank you so much for joining, my lovely brother. A lot of love and respect for you joining. Hello Anna, how are you Anna? Thank you so much for joining Twisted Terrain, making the like and subscribing to the channel. Alex, how are you Alex? Thank you so much for joining dear Alex. A lot of love and respect for you joining Alex. Thank you so much for you joining my dear. I'll say, how are you? I'll say, thank you so much for joining. How are you? I'll say, thank you so much for you joining, my dear. A lot of love and respect for you joining. Thank you so much for your joining. Destiny, how are you, Destiny? Thank you so much for joining. Twisted. Helen, how are you, dear Helen? A lot of love and respect for you joining. Danny, how are you, dear Danny? Thank you so much for joining, dear Danny. Felix, how are you, Felix? Guys, don't spam. If somebody have to comments, two comments. If somebody have to do two comments, he will be get the time order on the screen. Have to do only one comments. You have to write your single name. Your name has been written on the board. If you have to spam on the screen, you will be get time out from you will be get the time out, guys. You have to name a single name, guys. You have to name Sophia. You are getting the time out, my dear. Yeah, every single person is a request from every listener. If you have to do the comments or many time, you will be got the time a time out on the screen. Yeah, Destiny, you're also gone. Everybody, yeah, everybody. Those have to do the comments have to many time. They will be got the time order from the screen, guys. Only one person have to write only one name one time. Yeah, one name one time, guys. Only one person have to write your name one time. If someone has to write your name many time, he will be get the time order. Yeah, only one person one time. I'm writing the name after everyone's. Yeah, I'm writing the name after everyone's, guys. Looking on the screen, if anybody have to write his name more than one time, he will be get the time outed on the screen. He will be get the time outed on the screen. If anybody have to write the many, many time on the screen, he will be get the time outed on the screen. Harlan, you are going to time outed, my dear. If somebody have to write your name many time, he will be get the time ordered. Yeah, he will be get the time ordered. Only write a single name, guys. Only write a single name. Only write a single name, guys. If someone has to write to spam, he will be get the time ordered. Yeah, that's common. Only one person have to write only one name, guys. One person, single person have to write your name. Demary, I write your name. Why I have to skip, my dear? I never have to skip. You know, I never can skip. I'm writing the name of the every person. Maria, Charlie, you will be got the time ordered. Every person have to write your name. Write one name, guys. One name, one time. If someone has to write his name on many time, he will be got the time order. Yeah, he will be got the time order. If someone has to write many time, guys. If someone has to write his name a many time, he will be got the time order. Charlie, don't spam every person. Don't spam, please. Kale, how are you, dear Kale? If you are trying to spam, guys, if you have do the many comments, you will be get the time order, guys. You will be get the time order. Victoria, how are you, Victoria? Jack, how are you, Jack? Thank you so much for joining, dear Jack. Golden, how are you, dear Golden? Thank you so much for joining, dear Golden. Aviha, how are you, dear Aviha? Thank you so much for your joining, Aviha. Hurry up, guys. Every single person have to write the name, guys. Yeah. Farhan, how are you, dear Farhan? Aviha, how are you, Aviha? Thank you. Thank you, Simni. Phil, I write your name, Phil. If you are try to spam, you will be get the time out, guys. If someone has to try to spam, you will be get the time out. Yeah, you will be get the right time on it. Rooney, thank you. See you next time. Thank you. Every single person, yeah, guys, only write a single name. I have to request only write a single name, guys. If you have to write the many names, you will be got the time already, guys. You will be got the time already. You will be got the time already. If you have to write many times. Evan, how are you, dear Evan? Thank you so much for joining to sit room, Evan. How are you, Evan? Thank you so much for your joining, dear Evan. Nana, how are you, dear Nana? Thank you so much for joining, dear Nana. Guys, too, please don't spam, guys. Then please don't spam. It's a request from the every person. Please don't spam, guys. Please. Natalia, Lily, how are you, Lily? Thank you so much for joining, Lily. How are you, dear Lily? Thank you so much for joining to a city ring. Dennis, how are you, dear Dennis? Thank you so much for joining to a city ring, Dennis. It's a request from the every person to write your name, guys. Yeah, every person have to write a single name, guys. A single name only. Leonor, how are you, Leonor? Adarina, how are you, Adarina? Nina, how are you, Nina? Alize, how are you, pretty Alize? Thank you so much for joining, dear Alize. Dallas, sorry Dallas. Thank you so much for joining to stream, dear Dallas. Hurry up, guys. Mila, hurry up, Mila. Hurry up, guys, to write your name in the chat. Making the like and subscribing to the channel. A lot of love and respect for you joining, guys. Every single person have to write your name in the chat, guys. Hurry up, guys. Every single person have to write your name in the chat. Asbali, how are you, Asbali? Where are you from watching, dear Asbali? Thank you so much for your joining, Asbali. Thank you so much for your joining, my dear. A lot of love and respect for your joining. Where are you from watching, dear Asbali? Asbali, thank you so much for joining, my dear. Where are you from watching? Kamala, how are you, dear Kamala? Thank you so much for joining, Kamala. Leona, how are you, dear Leona? Thank you so much for joining, dear Leona. Emma, how are you, dear Emma? Thank you so much for joining, dear Emma. A lot of love and respect for your journey. Hurry up, guys. Every single person have to write your name in the chat, guys. Making the like and subscribing to the channel. Messi, how are you, dear Messi? Thank you so much for joining to stream, dear Messi. Edison, how are you, Edison? Thank you so much for joining to stream, Edison. Thank you, my lovely brother. Thank you so much for the goal. Thank you so much. Thank you, Edison. Thank you so much, my lovely brother. Edison, can you send a laughing disco? Can you send the laughing disco, my dear? Hi, dear Edison. Can you send the laughing disco, my lovely brother? Send money Borg. Yeah, you can send the money Borg, my dear. Thank you, Edison. Thank you so much for the gold. Thank you so much. Thank you, Edison. A lot of love and respect. Actually, today I am busy for the spamming person. Some are there. They're spamming on the screen. I have to giving him time out, and yeah, I am gonna busy for the spamming person. There are many people have to spamming on the screen. Edison, can you send the laughing disco, my dear? There are many person have to spamming on the screen. I know. Edison, that's not my dear. You have play one more. You play one more. I want one more. Amigo, how are you, amigo? I want one more. Oh, you are so funny there. Addison, you have sent a flow state. Okay. We did not have to talk about. Yeah, you're Edison. I know you're Edison. Yeah. Lana, how are you, dear Lana? You have to send a flow state. Carol. Mia. Melina. Please, you have to send Edison. I write your name, my lovely brother. Look, Edison. 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 Can you put again? Yeah, I will again, my dear. I will again. Okay. Welcome. Anna, how are you, Anna? Kamalia, I write your name many times. Looks that Kamalia. Alan, how are you, Alan? I'm going to sub you right now. You send a laughing disco. You have to sub me, but send a laughing disco. I want a laughing disco from you. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. You have to send me a laughing disco. You have to send me a laughing disco or flow state. Division. Camellia. Alicia, how are you, Alicia? Thank you so much for joining, Alicia. How are you, Alicia? Addie, how are you, Addie? Addison, how are you, Addison? Addison, my lovely brother, and look that, and that's spamming, not looks professional. Okay, yeah, Addison, that's not good, my dear. Please understand. I have to write your name. You are my lovely brother. I have a lot of love for you. But the spamming is not fair, yeah. The spamming is not fair, my lovely brother. Thank you so much for the subscribing. Caroline, how are you, Caroline? Veronic, how are you, Veronic? Thank you so much for joining, Veronic. Carol. Addison, how are you, Addison? Asbella, how are you, dear Asbella? Helene, how are you, Helene? Oh. Hurry up, guys, to write your name in the chat, making the like and subscribing to the channel. A lot of love and respect for your joining to Cittering, guys. Addison, you will be gone, my dear. I am really